Hey guys, this is Ray the Messenger, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about people who talk too much and why you shouldn't be one of them. Now let's get right into the video. So I've seen a lot of people that really talk a lot, and that's a big issue for some people, especially when they're in a situation where they shouldn't be saying too much. Listen, there will be certain situations where you can say a lot and where you should say a lot. If you don't have a lot of time and you need to explain a complicated issue in a short span of time with a lot of information, then you should be talking fast in order to convey the information fast, because in that situation it's needed. But most of the times in your life, when you're talking to other people, it's not necessary to go overboard. You don't need to be somebody who's talking triple time, double time, who's bombarding the other people with different words. Nobody wants to be bombarded with words, because oftentimes people just love to talk about themselves and they get too much into it. Listen, react to your own self. If you're talking too much, listen to your own self. Other people will get annoyed. If you're somebody who's just, oh, I'm talking about this and talking about that and talking about my own stuff, the other people will get bored of you. This is not a good person. This is not a good communicator. A good person, a good communicator listens to other people. You need to open up your ears, not just bombard the other person. This is an issue that a lot of people have, especially if they are not used to social interactions. You need to get into social interactions, and the first thing you're going to do is start listening. A lot of people just, oh, they love to talk, but what about the listening? You cannot just say interesting things and important information if the other person is just bombarded by different kind of stuff you're saying, because you don't know anything about the person. This is one of the biggest rules. If you have anything to do with sales, one of the most important things in sales is actually listen to the other person, asking them questions. This is the thing that makes people interesting. You cannot just be somebody who's running around and bombarding everybody, telling about how great you are, how much stuff you're listening to, what you're doing, and whatever the hell. And oftentimes the people that have the most things to say are actually the people who have the least things to say, because somebody who has important information to convey, they keep the information oftentimes to themselves, or only give the most important parts of their own speech and their own thoughts out to the world. So this is then you become an important person. If you just talk every single day and talk a bunch of stuff, you will not your words become meaningless, because there's so many of them. There's scarcity in this world, and oftentimes when you think about the stuff that has value in this world, it's the stuff that actually is not out there in abundance, so it's scarce. I can tell you a little story. I've read a book one time, I think it was like from Robert Greene, and inside of that book, Robert Greene talks about an example from some kind of French king. I think it was like Louis the 14th. Yeah, I think it was Louis the 14th. And that guy, he used to not say so much because he doesn't have to. This is the crazy thing. And when he says something, everybody listens. He was just running around and just looking at people, and never actually said too much. He didn't actually say anything to the people. He just made gestures, for example, or looked at them, and the people were extremely terrified and they respected him. And his word had a lot of meaning. Think about the different situation. If Louis the 14th would be just running around and talking a bunch of stuff about anything, then people wouldn't take his words too serious. But when he opens his mouth, everybody listens. And you want to be a person that everybody listens to, and not just some person who's just talking in the background and actually annoys the other people. So you need to focus on yourself and focus on how you're talking, how you communicate to other people. Implement that discipline. Be somebody who at first listens, and after you listen to the other person, let them have their points, because you will realize that a lot of people just love to talk about themselves, and when you give them the opportunity to talk a bunch of stuff about themselves or to explain their own thoughts in their own mind, you oftentimes not only get important information which you can use in different kind of ways. I'm not talking in malicious ways. I'm talking in interesting ways, or in ways where you can see, okay, can I maybe make a comparison with this person if you're doing some business stuff? Or if it's a woman, this is also especially important if in social relationships. If you're talking to a girl and she just talks about her different opinions and her different thoughts, then you can actually dissect her personality, and you can make sure if this is the right person for you or not. Or even if you want to interact with this person, and not only talking about women or men, but everybody. If you're listening to the person, they say different stuff, they expose themselves, so to say, but not in a bad way, but they're just telling you, okay, I've been, for example, to this country, and then you ask them, hey, what did you do in that country? And then they say, oh, I went on a drug trip, I took a bunch of drugs, it was a lot of fun. Then you know, oh, this person is somebody who probably likes to party a lot and drink a lot of take a lot of drugs and stuff like that. If you're that kind of person and you like that kind of aspect of the personality, then you can both go out there and talk with each other and have a relationship, or if you want to. But oftentimes, if you listen to that and you know, oh, this is not for me, then you can cut the person off and not have too much interactions. If you're listening is extremely powerful. So what I want you to do is, for the next week, try to focus on listening. Open up your ears. Listen more than you talk. Be somebody, especially if you're someone like me who likes to talk a lot. I'm actually a person that really likes to talk a lot. Maybe you have noticed already. I'm a person that oftentimes, especially if I'm nervous, I get into a habit where I talk way too fast. And you need to pay attention to how fast you're talking, and oftentimes when you switch the speed of the talking, it has always a reason, and you should try to make it a conscious reason. So you consciously should start to implement patterns. So pause, speed up a little bit more, or slow down a little bit more. Then you can control your own speech, and not only that, but you can become way more interesting. And people like to listen to people who have different kind of patterns in their speaking, who make it interesting, because you cannot listen to a monotone voice talking in a monotone way. That is impossible. You cannot listen to that because your brain will get bored. So I want you to not only focus on what other people say, listen to what they're saying, but also focus on what you're saying, and especially in the way you're saying it. Make it interesting. Make people listen to you. How do people react to the things that you say? This is really important. This is an important skill for you to learn and to implement in your everyday life, because when you become a person who has actually powerful words to say, or has interesting or maybe funny, or maybe it's like really intelligent, the stuff that you're saying is really out there. It's like, oh my god, this guy thinks about a lot of stuff, he knows a lot about all this stuff. If you start talking about your different knowledge that you have about this word, then become an interesting person. Don't just be somebody who talks about mundane stuff. Nobody likes that. And if you're around people who like to talk a bunch of mundane stuff, if you're just sitting around talking about, I don't know, some nonsense happening, right? You're talking about, oh, how was your day at work yesterday? Oh, it was great. Your day? Oh, perfect. That's bad. You shouldn't be having such discussions. You should have discussions that are interesting, philosophical discussions, right? Things that actually trigger your mind, like things, okay, what actually is success? How can you achieve success? Or why do we exist in this world? What is the reason? It's different stuff like that. Or have you heard about this thing happen in Africa with these animals, what they do, how they behave, this evolutionary theory? This is the stuff you want to talk about, probably, if you want to educate yourself. Listen, if you're not somebody who actually wants to get educated and you want to talk to some idiots, then no problem, you can do that, because it will have a great effect on your own speech and the way that you talk, and not only with the way you talk, but also the things you talk about. If you constantly talk to other people about stupid stuff, if you're just sitting there talking about some nonsense football games or whatever the hell that you're talking about to other people, then that's the only thing you have in your mind, and then you will talk about this nonsense. And this is the thing that you will attract other people with. When you talk about different things, the things that you put out there, with not only with your mouth but also with your energy, those things will be reflected to you. So if you're just some dork or some person who's just running around talking about this stupid stuff, about some stupid jokes, or making just dumb jokes, or running around talking about nonsense that has no meaning to this world, like stupid football games and stuff like that, that's for me stupid, maybe for you not. If you're running around talking about that kind of stuff, the people and your friends around you, they will all be the same. They will all also talk about that nonsense. So also maybe try listening to what the people in your environment talk about, and try to analyze, is this the right environment that I'm putting myself into? Because this environment will have a massive impact. It doesn't matter actually too much what you do in trying to improve your speech. If the people around you that you talk to every day are stupid or talking about stupid stuff, then you will be stupid too. And it's really difficult to escape that system. You can listen to YouTube videos, you can read books and try to escape it a little bit, but in the end of the day, your environment will have a massive impact on you. Try to change it if your friends don't talk about the same stuff you want to talk about. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you liked the video, put a like on it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.